Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Um, Today, the hadith that I wanted to remind everyone is actually, I'm just going to stay very short on that hadith, and this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that the Prophet said, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِّنَ النَّاسِ الصِّحَّةُ وَالْفَرَاغُ. Two blessings that we don't benefit from enough, or the majority of the people, they incur loss in, are health and free time. So, as you probably heard, that the lockdown, according to the federal guidelines, has been extended until the end of April. I'm not speaking about ISA policy, which is going to be discussed and announced by the EC. But in case it's going to continue until the end of April, as they have said, what I'm going to do is that, inshallah, I'm going to be starting a new series, or a bunch of new series, which are not only going to boost our iman, but they're actually going to be building up one after another. So, for example, tomorrow's reminder will be adding to what we learned today, so that we can actually take advantage of this and not just be reminded, but also learn. And there's a difference between these two things. There are reminders which soften our heart, but we don't necessarily gain a lot of knowledge by continuing to listen to them. However, inshallah, what I'm going to try to do is to bring a reminder which is going to increase us in knowledge and also boost our iman in this way, inshallah. So I'm also planning on doing a number of other series, as I mentioned. Basically, what I was thinking is that I'm going to restart our programs that used to take place in the masjid when the masjid was open. Our this class and that class, and it was Sunday tafsir on in the masjid. So inshallah, I'm going to basically restart all of them, except that they will be done in a virtual manner. So inshallah, people can continue to benefit in different ways. Of course, this is going to add more hours, many more hours of preparation and all of this stuff. But inshallah, this is a time, like I said in the beginning of our talk, that this is free time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and we have to take advantage of that as students, as teachers, as leaders, as members of a family, in whatever way that we can. So there's of course no need for a khutbah rewind, and the youth program is difficult to do, but I'm working on a series for young people during this time as well, a virtual series. And inshallah, one of these series is going to be in preparation for Ramadan, the fiqh of fasting and zakah. Fiqh of fasting and zakah. So inshallah, stay tuned for a lot more of these beneficial talks, inshallah. Now today, the series that I want to start first in our daily reminder series is based on a book called The Inner Dimensions of Salah. Because of course, as Ramadan is coming and we need to boost our spirituality, so inshallah, what we're going to do is we're going to work on boosting our Salah. And the book that we are using is a book written by Ibn Al-Qayyim, Al-Jawziyyah, rahimahullah ta'ala, who wrote this book called The Inner Dimensions of Salah. That of course we learn how to do Salah externally, but what is going on from a spiritual perspective in Salah? So inshallah, we're going to look at all of those. Today, in the little bit time that I have left in our soft limit of 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about who this author was. Ibn Al-Qayyim is a name that you probably have heard many times before if you listen to lectures, because Ibn Al-Qayyim rahimahullah was one of the most unique scholars in the history of Islam. When I say unique, what I mean by that is that most scholars specialize in certain fields. Some in fiqh, some in aqidah, some in hadith, some in this, some in that. But Ibn Al-Qayyim rahimahullah is in a category of some special, unique scholars that passed in our history, which were specialists in not just one, but many, many different fields. Many different fields. He was called the Imam, the Hafiz, the Mufassir, the Faqeeh. And when you look at his books, when you look at his works, you will find that each and every single one of his works in each field is a is a work of mastership that you can see that he displays in that. His name was Abu Abdullah ShamsudDin Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr, and he was known as Ibn Al-Qayyim Al-Jawziyyah. He was born in a noble and knowledgeable family. And subhanAllah, your family background is important because it gives you the initial boost in order to go wherever you want to go. If a person is born in a family of, for example, gangsters, then, for them to not be a gangster, they have to work extra hard. But for them to be a gangster, it's very easy for them. So when a person is born in a good family, and this is a note to parents, that when a child is born in a good family which has certain leanings, then the child finds it easy to follow those leanings, generally speaking. He was born in the year 691, and if you're hearing until now, he was born in the year 691 Hijri. And I want to give you a test, and the result of, or the answer to this test, you send it to me by a text message. If you are listening, I want you to send me a text message and tell me what is 691 Hijri in the Gregorian calendar. What is 691? So we can tell in what age or what time Ibn Al-Qayyim rahimahullah lived. And this is of course a test for you, test for me to see who is listening, who is paying attention. So 691 Hijri, what year in the Gregorian calendar does that correspond to? He was born in a small city near Damascus, Syria, and he started learning knowledge of Islam from a young age. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, who's also a great scholar, also an amazing scholar, he said that Ibn Al-Qayyim had an intense love for knowledge, for books, for publications and writings. And he's saying that throughout his whole life, starting from a young age. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah was another person who was around Ibn Al-Qayyim rahimahullah. And Ibn Kathir is the one that we know his book, the famous book Tafsir Ibn Kathir, and Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya. And Ibn Kathir is now talking about Ibn Al-Qayyim, who is a fellow student of his to their teacher Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Kathir says he acquired from such books what others could not acquire from. And he developed a deep understanding of the books of the salaf and the khalaf. So he had a unique way of learning, and he learned from books that other people basically gave up on, maybe too difficult, too complex or whatever. He went and he studied them, and that made him this unique scholar that he was. He had many teachers, and of course any person of great knowledge will not just have one or two teachers but have many teachers. But of course the most notable teacher of his was Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, under whom he studied for 16 years until the death of his teacher Ibn Taymiyyah. He was his main student, and he studied with him along with many other teachers. Now I'll just talk briefly about some of the descriptions of Ibn Al-Qayyim that inshallah are going to inspire us to be more like him. He was described as someone who was constant in worship and night prayer. And he was described as somebody who used to make a long salah with long ruku and long sujood. To the point that Ibn Kathir said that some of his colleagues, they criticized him for that. And they said, how come, you're taking so long? We have other things to do. We have to go together or whatever. And he never replied to them. And he never changed his way. Meaning, he never said why he does it. He didn't give a defense. He didn't want to even answer them. And he never changed. He kept firm on what he knew to be right, which is to do this beautiful salah with long prostration and ruku, which shows that a person is not in a hurry, but they really find that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course it is befitting that we are learning from a book that is written by him about the inner dimensions of salah, which we can see that he probably experienced himself. He was constantly in a state of dhikr, intense love for Allah and khushu, and constantly repenting to Allah. He was also described as somebody who recited well and had very good manners. And he did not harbor any envy or malice towards anyone. He had a clean heart. And Ibn Kathir says, I was one of those who most often kept company with him, and I was one of the most beloved people to him. And now he says, after this introduction as to who he is, to Ibn Al-Qayyim, he says, I don't know of anyone in this world, in this time, who is a greater worshipper than Ibn Al-Qayyim. Subhanallah. Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, is saying this. He passed away at the age of 60 in 751 Hijri. In 751 Hijri, born in 691. So inshallah, I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us the tawfiq to benefit from such a giant in knowledge, as inshallah we're going to begin. And remember to send me a text message once you calculate what is 691 Hijri in the Gregorian calendar, so I can see who is listening and who is not listening. And even if you don't listen to it today, whenever you listen to it, let me know inshallah, so I know that somebody benefit from this video. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.